Welcome to Together for Sharon podcast, a conversation on awareness, episode 2. Deb Pollack, the founder of Drive Toward a Cure. Deb served the car community since the late 80s, the founder of Drive Toward a Cure, a nationally recognized nonprofit organization dedicated to finding a cure for Parkinson's. Deb lost her mom due to complications of Parkinson's in 2006. And was all too aware of the challenges she faced on a daily basis and couldn't bear to see other individuals facing the same difficulties. Couldn't think of anyone more amazing to have for literally our first podcast. Again, my name's Dr. George Ackerman. I go by George, or Sharon's son George, and my wife Greta is with us.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Really,
Deb.
And again, like I said, I don't know why I'm wearing a suit, but this is a conversation. It's relaxed. It's going to be fun. And as I told you, Deb, when we met, I kind of followed you for 3 years when my mother unfortunately passed in 2020. But I actually found your resource and all your social media fascinating, entertaining, and really just kind of every time I see it, I'm just shocked how not just professional, but exciting. Like even your background now, I feel like jumping in the car, and we have our own Corvette. It doesn't leave a garage because we're working too much. But
well, we're gonna get you out. Just you wait. You're gonna start driving with us.
So let's get right into it. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and Drive Toward a Cure.
Oh gosh, well, I'm based in Los Angeles, and as you mentioned, I did lose my mom to the complications of Parkinson's back in 2006. And I've been in the car community for a very long time. And at that time, I was working with Ferrari and Maserati, and we were doing a lot of car programs, obviously, but I was also involved in philanthropic efforts. And there was a car show that was up in Northern California that was benefiting Parkinson's at the time. And I became very friendly with Phil Hill and his family. And if you're not familiar, Phil was America's first Formula One champion. And Phil also had Parkinson's, and became friendly with him and his family. We did a special program for his 80th birthday out at a racetrack in Northern California. And we brought him out with his son to go on the racetrack, which ended up being his last time on track, unfortunately. And later that year, he ended up passing from Parkinson's. And after that happened, we decided to bring that same car back with his son on the same racetrack and sell some passenger hot laps and use that money to benefit the Parkinson's Institute at the time, which was in Northern California. And, you know, I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know if people would really come out and do it. And we decided to charge $250 for a passenger ride with Phil's son. And in an hour and a half, we made $7,500. And before I flew home, I took a trip over to the Parkinson's Institute and opened up my purse and said, here you go, this is all in Phil's name. So it kind of became an inspiration for us to team cars and camaraderie and get involved in the car community, which I had been in professionally for a couple of decades. And so, you know, I started helping this one program, and I started a drive up there, which was a one-day event, doing lunch at a winery, and just we capped it at like 50 cars, and that's gone on. I mean, I did it for 7-8 years, and I think they've now done it for maybe a dozen. And in 2016, my mom would have turned 90. It was 10 years after she was gone, and I said, you know what, we're going to start our own and see if we can really get this going nationwide. And that's how we kicked it off. We started with a multi-day drive, got people involved, and now we have one-day drives that go on throughout the country with clubs, groups, racetracks, organizations. Anybody can do anything from a virtual event to a barbecue or a poker run. And we've just really opened up our doors to the car community, because I think just like in any community, there isn't anybody that has gone untouched by Parkinson's.
Wow, what a story. Amazing.
Yeah, and since then we've done national programs, we've done virtual programs during the pandemic, and we've been very fortunate because we've gathered a nice donor base of people in the car community, and we've raised more than $1 million, and we've gotten involved with the Parkinson's Foundation throughout the country, and they've got like more than 35 centers of excellence throughout the country. So we try and commit to giving funds to the regions where we're having events. So that way, when people participate, they know that they're giving local, and that makes them feel good. It makes us feel good to do directives and to do more programs other than just research. Because for me, I'd really like to help people in patient care. I mean, just like you, George, you know what it takes, you know how hard it is and what people's challenges are on a daily basis. So if we can help one person, two people, whatever we can do, it's helping.
Yeah, I agree because that impacts them directly and immediately and they see it, you know. I agree, especially the family members of people with Parkinson's disease. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I
Wow.
always, I always say I look for like inspirational stories, and yours is definitely one. It's
Yeah.
amazing how also I feel like we've known each other a short time, but we all become almost like family because of what we've all gone through. But having a common cause is just amazing, and why we thought again of you first for this is
Well,
because
thank you.
I still want. I always find if even if one person learns about Drive Toward a Cure, then we've done a great thing. But I feel like there'll be a lot more individuals who really amazed, just shocked, and they didn't even weren't aware. So that's what this is all about. How do you recommend for other individuals to get involved, even with your organization?
Well,
For
I mean, it's super easy. I mean, for
yeah.
us, it's, number one, we've got a website, so you can just go on to drivetowardacure.org, and you can see the type of events that we do, but anybody that wants to start an event, it's super easy. We can do a web page on our page that people can register right on for whatever the event is that somebody wants to do. And whoever signs up for it, no matter how little or how much money they donate, they get a tax receipt right away because we're a 501c3 organization. And so, that's an encouragement right there. But, I also find that, you talk about awareness. And yes, we want to raise money. Obviously, the money helps so that we can create programs. But awareness is really key because, the more people that know that this is, I mean, what is it? It's like 90,000 people a year that get it in the United States alone. And if that's rising, we need to help. We need, we've done some things in Nashville and Kentucky to give funds to Vanderbilt and their university back there. And one of the things that we did was we gave money toward fellowships for fifth year residents that wanted to get involved in mobility disorders for Parkinson's. And that to me is obviously patient care as well. It's not just for the individuals, because if you're helping individuals, then you're giving patient care. In the Pacific Northwest, we've had several drives that have gone on, and we've raised a good deal of money up there and enough to create a caregiver academy that's teamed up with OHSU, the Oregon, hospital up there. And we're able to do things that can really affect people and affect those that are helping those that need help. So, any ideas we take, the car community is broad. I mean, it's a way for us to be visual. We can, put stickers on the cars. We just completed an annual program we do called the 75 Days of Summer, which starts on Father's Day and goes through Labor Day weekend. And people sign up for $20. That's it. And
Wow.
our goal is not just the $20. It's for them to then make a fundraising page, which is really how we can raise more money. A year ago, we raised $50,000. We had close to 100 people that participated. This year, we haven't tallied it yet, but we had around 75 people throughout the country that signed up. And we get sponsors. We get, Haggerty's on board. Michelin is giving out a grand prize of a set of tires that's valued at $2,000. We've got racetracks that are giving performance driving classes. So we have incentive for people to participate and win. And you can win by, clocking your miles during those 75 days, and each mile is worth 1 point. And every dollar that you raise is worth 1 point. So any combination can win. It's not just how far you drive or how much you raise. It can go any way. So you really don't know who's going to win until the end when we tally it
It's
all
so
up.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and during the summer, we ask people to, post on social media to say where they're driving, to say what they're doing. And we also do weekly random prize drawings. So there's generally not anything that's worth less than $100 that we give away every Friday. So it's
Wow.
like, 8 to 10 weeks in the summer where we're trying to keep this awareness going.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
like how you said that there's so many resources, and you just said so many sponsors and people willing to help, but awareness is really where it's key. If you don't know about it, then you're probably not going to help if you don't really
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. And
lot
we've
of-
tried to do things too that have people, on my board, I've got 2 people that have early onset Parkinson's. So as an example, this summer, we had somebody help us with some publicity efforts so that we could have one of those guys on broadcast stations and talk about, signing up for the 75 days of summer. But because he's got early onset, it's a way of showing personally how it can affect people and why people should help.
Yeah, I'm
So,
glad you brought that up. George has interviewed a lady that has early onset, and it's really incredible how many individuals have it at a much younger age in their 40s, and their
I think
parents,
so.
it's a whole new host of issues that they have to deal with because they still have young families.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We only had
And
experience with my mother, and she was 69 when she passed, but had it about 55. So I really didn't even know that anyone, younger than that type of, later in life age had it.
mhm,
But it's really, there's a lot of individuals. I've been luckily from my, experience now, I've been learning a lot. And I've been able to interview about 200 people now, and a lot of them are, early onset. I never even heard of it before a few months ago, which is part of the
right.
problem. It's a part of the problem with awareness. Even I'm learning every day, but a lot of your advertising, I always think of as like a movie. So I wanted to know, do you have any producers from the movie industry?
Oh God, I wish we did. I wish we
They really
did.
do. Some of the commercials look honestly like a trailer for a movie. That's why I also
Wow.
It's
have
the
to.
best idea because cars just draw so much attention just by themselves.
You need to
Yeah,
get
You
on
know,
you need to get on the sponsor for Transformers. The next.
it
there you
opens up a
go.
conversation because a kid wants to take a picture with the car, and then you start talking to the person. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm out here for this. It's really such a smart idea. And obviously, I know your background is in marketing, so,
Yeah,
it's
well,
not a
it's true.
coincidence.
And before this started, I bought a little replica Speedster. And on our first event, I put the big door decals on the side. And since 2017, I've not taken those decals off. And when I drive that car, it's a car that people recognize, they look at because it's cute, because it's vintage, because it's old, and thankfully cost me very little because it's not a real
Oh, that's
Porsche.
funny.
It comes from a 1967 salvaged VW is what the chassis is. But regardless, the other day I went out to lunch with a dear friend of mine, and we got back in the car in the parking lot, and there was a couple in the car next to me that were just waiting for me to come down the stairs.
Oh, my
And they wanted to
goodness.
talk to me because it's funny that you say producer, because they happen to be in the entertainment industry, but he has Parkinson's. And she
Oh,
lives with him, and I don't know if it's his wife or girlfriend, but she's his caretaker. And when they saw my car and they saw what it said on the side, they wanted to be introduced. And awareness is what it's about. It gives them hope when they see that there are other people out there trying to help, what's going on. And it also allows them to realize that people care. And just that alone helps people so much. It really does.
I agree.
This summer there's a lot of people I know that went to the world is it, what's it called, George? Was it the
World
World
Parkinson's
Congress?
Congress. Yeah,
Yeah,
World.
it was in Barcelona this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And I was in London right after that and had a chance to meet with one of the folks who's at Parkinson's in the UK. And he had just come back, and he knew all the people that I knew that went to it. I mean, talk about a small world, because through this, I've met so many people that do have Parkinson's and also are advocates for it. And it's communities like that. And thank God for Facebook, because we're all interacting because of it. And we're learning so much more, and we're able to contribute and do something more. We're going to have a big event next year in April. I had a Zoom yesterday. We're hoping to do it at the National Automotive Museum in Reno. And it's because I was able to meet a woman through another connection of mine who is spearheading the Parkinson's group that's up in the Reno area. But there's a big car community up there. And just through people that I know that used to work for Haggerty that are now helping this museum, and this woman who is putting her group together, and of course us, we're able to publicize it. We're able to try to tie it together and to hopefully create a really nice night at the museum that will support Parkinson's efforts. And one of the fun things that we want to do, because we always talk about cars and camaraderie and bringing people through the museum, we're thinking that it could be an indoor 5K almost, because the museum is so large, and to keep them on a route that they will do. But we're thinking of, getting different sections in the museum that can have QR codes. So you can learn more about Parkinson's, and you can learn more about the cars. And in order to learn more, you've got to go on the QR code and make another donation, even if it's
That's nice.
$5.
Right.
It's just a way to keep people involved and inspired, and find ways that we can help grow within that community.
That's
So,
incredible. So innovative too. Amazing.
yeah, we're trying to be creative, and to do what we can.
Do you have a question, Greta?
I mean, I think it's wonderful that you can continually come up with more ideas, and I think that's amazing, because sometimes George is like, oh, after I interview people, things can get stagnant in the same, when you're working in the same field or trying to do the same thing over and over again. But what are you most proud of since you started? And I know every small victory and every big victory, probably
I'll
makes a
tell you,
special face.
I think what's especially enlightening for me is the people that I get to meet, whether they have Parkinson's or whether they don't. When this all started for us at the beginning, I had met one of the gentlemen with early onset, who's now on my board, Derek Torrey. And Derek lives, not too far from me, maybe 40 minutes away. And we met for lunch. And he said to me, and this was right at the beginning when I was starting out, and he said to me, what do you want this to be? What do you want it to do? And I said, I want it to be real. And he said, well, what does it mean to be real? And I said, well, I think the first challenge will be to become a 501c3, because that shows that you're being really sincere about it and you're making a commitment. And I said, but I don't know how to do that. And he said to me, what's funny? He said, I know a guy who can help with that, and he happens to be in the building right next to where we're having lunch. And he said, why don't we go up and talk to Mike? And so Mike was a CPA, and we went up there, and he introduces me, and he says to Mike, this is what she wants to do, and she wants to do a 501c3, and it's for Parkinson's. And Mike says, well, Derek, or he looked at me actually, and he said, is Derek going to work with you? And I looked at Derek, and Derek nodded his head yes. And I said, yeah, Derek's going to work with us. And he said, then I'm going to help you, and I'll do it for you, Gratis. And that saved us $4,000 right there.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of it, which allowed us to, become real, as I say. And I said, well, what else makes us real? And I said, maybe we need to get a trademark. And again, through somebody else that I knew who worked for a law firm that worked in trademarks, they were kind enough to say, you know what, we want to be part of your village too, and we will help you with that. We'll do all the paperwork, we'll get it done, and we won't charge you for anything except for the application fee. So they got it all done and approved for us, and now we have a registered trademark. And then I said, and the next thing to be real is that we have to raise a significant amount of money so people think that we're credible. And about a year ago, during the pandemic, we were $40,000 shy of getting to $1 million. So at the beginning of the year, we did a campaign called Be One in a Million, that give us $1. It doesn't matter. Help us cross that threshold. And we did. And within a few months, we were able to get that $40,000 and to do it. And people care. People want to see where you're contributing the money, what you're doing. And it's amazing. I think the one thing my mom, and dad always taught me was, they can't say no until you ask. And
that's true.
You don't want to be a pest. You don't want to miter people, but you certainly can ask them 1 to 2 times and see where their head is at. And then
I think certainly too, it helps with a person like you spearheading everything. You have such a clear vision for what you want and what you hope for, that it makes it easy to get behind. No, truly, speaking with you and hearing you, how passionate you are and how clear you are,
well, we've had fun, and we I'll tell you the true story of how it happened. I being in the car industry and being on the public relations side, I've done a lot of product launches for cars for many, many years. And I thought, well, what could be so hard? I'm used to planning these things. You get the manufacturers out there, they're doing it. They get media out there. Let's do it with consumers and see how we can do it. And so I was very ambitious and I said, we're going to do a drive in California. We're going to call it our California Adventure. And I not only was thinking we'll do one drive, I stupidly said, we're going to do two drives. We're going to have one starting in the north coming down, and we're going to have one starting in Southern California going up. And we're going to meet in the middle in Paso Robles and have a great weekend. And that way we can get a lot of people to go. But my husband, said to me, well, where are you going to get the money for this? And he said, we're not using our credit cards. And I said, no. I said, we don't have to have any money. People will pay for a registration. We'll take that money. We'll use part of it. They'll get a part of a write-off. Boy, what I didn't know, right? And so it's almost time to give the first deposit because we were staying at a nice hotel and I had not one person registered yet. And again, he said, we're not using our credit card. We're not going on a limb for this. And I said, it's going to happen. Don't worry, it's going to happen. And friends in the car community that worked for magazines were kind enough to give us an ad at no charge about the program. And I get a phone call the day that I was supposed to make the first deposit. And it was an older gentleman. And he said to me, I'm really excited about this program. I saw it in Sports Car Market magazine. And you know what? He was an older man and he had a car similar to the one behind me, this red one, this 356, except his was sportier. It was a vintage car. It was a 1960 and they call it a Super 90. And he was someone who raced in historic racing with that car. And he said, I've got a best friend who has the same car. He lives in Northern California and he and his wife are going to come down. We race together. And me and my wife are going to go up and we're going to have a great weekend with you guys. And I said, oh my God, this is great. I've got 2 entries. I can put down my deposit. Everything is going to work fine. And right before we got off the phone, he said to me, and by the way, I've got Parkinson's.
Oh my
And
goodness.
when he said that, my heart just fell. And I thought, you know what? There's somebody there saying, we've got to do this. This is going to happen. And I can't fail. I've got to make this work. And after that, we not only got registrations, but we exceeded our registrations. And we had 36 people, 36 entries that first year. And we raised our first $20,000. And it just kind of went from there, where you said, I believe in it. I've got a vision. And, what do they say? If you build it, they will come.
It's true.
Have you teamed with any other organizations? I keep noticing Michael J. Fox above your head.
Well, I mean, we team with them in the sense that we give money to them.
Right.
We have not done a specific event with them, but we definitely, we coordinate and we publicize and, we give a portion every year, but, we also give a broader portion to the Parkinson's Foundation so that I can break it up among all of those, regional areas. I mean, you were talking earlier, George, about Muhammad Ali before we started on here. And the Muhammad Ali Foundation in Arizona, which is part of the Barrow Neurological Institute for Parkinson's, is a recipient of ours. We've done several programs out there. And during the pandemic, we did something that I was, you say, what am I proud of? I think this was something I was very excited about because we were able to give money to start a Hispanic choir. And it was really great because I think in that region, they were trying to draw in more Hispanic patients from that community. And I think it was a little bit harder for them. And on top of that, we had the pandemic. Nobody knew what was going on. People were feeling isolated. And we were able to help create a choir that sometimes would be virtual and sometimes would be in person. So it helped alleviate some of the isolation. It gave those people a lot of self-esteem by being a part of something that they could do and they could enjoy. And the most important part was it was exercising their vocal cords. So we were helping in a way that was patient care, but giving it in a creative manner that could help a group of people be a part of something. And that's a program that I'm truly proud of because I wish we could do it in more places, and I wish that we could have more of them happening.
And music's really beneficial. I've looked at studies. My mother had a musical individual guitar player, and she came and sang like weekly, but sometime my mother didn't want to have it because of the dementia and Parkinson, so it was tough.
Right.
But I remember if you actually go to our website, TogetherForSharon.com, and scroll to the bottom on the main page, I play guitar for 15, 20 years. It's just for fun, but I had the great opportunity, unfortunately, a week almost before she passed, to play one of her most favorite songs from Cats, the Broadway show,
Yeah.
called Memory. So I actually put on the website, but she was like so happy. It was the last time she really spoke, and she said she enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
we wanted to get. I know they have animals also. We could have. They didn't have that program, but there are so many programs I think that individuals just not aware of, and it keeps coming back because that's what we're having is the conversation on awareness. But I
But
think
yeah, if I can, Deb, I think you've tapped into something that you've tapped into what people love. For example, cars, music, singing, whatever it could be. And somehow there's a connection between those communities and Parkinson's because we've seen it all over boxing, exercise. It's really incredible. It stems from people's passions in their life, either previously or now, or something that they want to try. And that has a powerful connection to people
I think
naturally.
that's true. That's true. And on the car side, there have been so many racers that just coincidentally have had Parkinson's. I mean, there have been, Indy 500 winners, Formula One champions, people that have done Le Mans have been up on the podium, and they're all representative of the best things, and yet they're struggling with this extra challenge that's going through them. And then the other part, about music, for my mom, it was similar. It wasn't guitar, but she had a certain type of music that she liked. And, back in 2006, you had an iPod, and I would put the music on the iPod for her. And she had dementia because she also had Lewy body disease. And, her dementia was pretty quick. But yet the music is what brings them back. And, my dad had Alzheimer's too, and we lost him in 2019. But for him, it was music. When he would hear songs from the 40s, suddenly he would light up and he knew all the words where he might not remember my son's name, and it's just a crazy thing.
what I find being very unique with Drive Toward a Cure is that you also use cars because my mother always loved her car, and she was felt gives the power of like independence. And unfortunately, as she kind of declined with her health, that was honestly before she couldn't walk. That was probably one of the worst things ever that we had to go through, is explaining how she could no longer drive. But I found that again, what you do is so unique. There's no one else really like it. I've done research, so I know there's nothing out there, which is why I really enjoy meeting with you and talking to you even now. But I like the whole idea too of the independence, and gives hope. That's a big.
It
The only thing
does.
left, the only thing she lost was she always hoped, because she has three grandkids, to be there when they grow up. But she was always lived alone, independent, did her own shopping, live life. But when they took away or she lost the
Independence
ability,
is so hard.
uh,
It really is. We take so much for granted and don't realize, you know.
what do you hope for the future? Talking about hope, since we're on hope, what do you hope for
I
your?
hope that our advocacy can grow, and that, for our organization, I want to see it remain intimate in the sense that we know what we're doing and the way that we're giving money, and that we never become something that just raises a bunch of money and gives it to somebody else and says, here you go, do something with it. I want us to continue to find ways that we can really help people. We did a small program again in Nashville, and also I think we gave the money similarly in Idaho to Rocksteady Boxing, and that money goes to scholarships for people to have fitness programs and nutrition programs if they don't have the money to go, and it's specifically for Parkinson's patients. So, by doing things, even if it's small elements in communities, you can really make a difference. We had a woman a year ago who lives in Idaho that has become a really close friend of mine. And it's because she was a 64-year-old financial advisor who was a grandmother, and she was a Harley Davidson owner and rider. And she wanted to go to Maine for lobster from Idaho. And she decided that she was going to ride her motorcycle over 34 days all the way to Maine and back. And she got sponsors, and she had a friend that rode with her, and her husband was in the SUV as a support vehicle. And this wonderful woman raised $16,000 for us going across country and back. And we were able to put her on the radio and to put her, on television in different markets and to do some stories about it. And we gave a good portion of her money to the Rocksteady Boxing that was in Idaho, so that we could help people with that same reason, as well as another Parkinson's center that was in Boise. So, there's so many things that are important, and it does give people hope because they know that there are others out there that care enough to want to, increase what they're doing and to help them.
Yeah, and it also highlights what they still have as opposed to what they've lost, which is the best hope ever.
And I'll tell you something. I mean, the guys that are on my board, Vikas Chinnan and Derek Torrey, that have early onset, they preach about, physical fitness. Derek, for one, is a hiker and a camper, and he does something with Parkinson's called Pass to Pass, which are these hikes that are like weekend camp out hikes. And his son comes with him, and many other individuals and people with Parkinson's, and some of them are like 60 miles, if not longer. And every day he's up on that treadmill and the bicycle, and he's doing things because while it may not take away the Parkinson's, it can help slow the progression. And we're learning that, good nutrition and the physicality of what you do is so important. So, if I could help Rocksteady clinics all over the country, I'd be happy with that. Just giving people the opportunity.
I agree, yes.
Do
You're certainly making a difference, Deb.
Well, we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, when one individual inspires, others, and they also share their journey, and that's what the most important thing for awareness. Like we
Yeah,
talked
I feel so inspired. You have so many wonderful stories. I feel like one podcast is not enough time to listen to you.
Oh,
It's
well,
incredible.
we're just having fun, and we just want more people to come along and help us with their creativity so we can do
Absolutely.
more.
Is there any,
And go ahead.
is there any upcoming events you mentioned? And also if you could remind everyone listening to your website.
Sure. Well, our website is drivetowardacure.org, O-R-G. And you can see a lot of the different things that we've done on there. We're starting to get more people signing up for individual one-day drives in different markets throughout the country. I know before the end of the year, there's going to be one in Atlanta. There's going to be another one in Northern California. So, anyone that has interest, we can surely help them. We can create the page on our website for them to get the signups, and we make it easy. And we give out swag. We do things to further that awareness along the way, and hope that people will continue to do it and have fun with it. And we try to do it in a way that's not expensive. It depends on the market, but most of the drives are anywhere from $50 to $100 registration, and that's a 100% write-off. And then the person who plans the event, if they don't have sponsors to pay for the lunch and they have to up the price, then we refund to them whatever that difference is, so that they can cover the cost of those expenses so that they don't have to put it out.
Excellent.
And we just try to make it easy and to make it fun.
I feel like organizations like yours and people like you are so necessary because you are a link between so many different areas, so many different markets, so many different people. It's incredible. Like you are so important.
Well,
It's
it's
incredible.
about people having fun too, because the car community, it's a small community, but it's a large community. It's small in the sense that so many people know each other. And if you mention somebody from Virginia to somebody in California, somehow they know each other and they've been to events together and they've done things together. But, they also meet at these events and they want to come back. I mean, our last one that we did a California adventure right before the pandemic, and we went up to Yosemite, and we had people from 9 different states that came. And not only that, they were predominantly what we would term alumni who had come to previous events with us, and they want to come back. So that's saying something about it. It's about the people they're meeting. It's about the way we're doing programs that make it enjoyable. So we're trying, we're
It doesn't
hopeful.
hurt that you're in such a beautiful state either. For
Well,
scenic,
but
amazing drives.
we're doing things all over the country. I mean,
That's
we did a southern adventure that went from Asheville, North Carolina to Atlanta, and it was a few years back, and we went through the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we went through an area
Wow.
called Tail of the Dragon that many people want to drive in, and it was a lot of fun. And we ended up at a car show, and we're able to put all the cars on the lawn of the show. So, we try and give something special to the people that are participating too, so that they've got a good memory and want to do something
Right.
again.
That's
To make
true.
it fun.
We need to get you all here and driving through Miami.
Yeah, in Florida, South Florida.
That would be great.
It
That
would
would be really great.
Yeah.
People love honking the horns here, so they'll have a good.
There's not a shortage of cool cars in South Florida.
Yeah.
Flashy
There's
cars.
a lot. I mean, Miami's does a lot of car events.
Palm Beach.
And
Palm Beach.
Incredible, yeah,
Palm
Palm Beach
Beach.
too.
Mhm.
Right.
And there's a lot of car clubs that are out there too.
Right.
So, if we can have you guys help us inspire those people, we can certainly, get on the map with them as well. So, it would be nice. We're hopefully doing a Northeast adventure October 2024. I'd like to do something up in the Adirondacks. So we're looking into that. So we'll see. It takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of time. We're a very small organization. Mark Davidson, who is what I term partner in cause, has been a friend of mine for probably 20 years. We work together at Ferrari, and he lives in Toronto, and he does our branding, and he does our website, and he does a lot, for his own business too. But for us, he's the guy that's making the visual behind me, that does photography, that makes all of that stuff look professional for us. And we couldn't do it without him, and I've got him, I've got the 2 people on the board, and that's really it. If people want to volunteer and they want to do things in their own region, we ask them to do whatever they can, and we support their efforts, because we can't be everywhere. I mean, I still have a job I've got to be at. So
before we conclude, does anyone else have anything they want to add? And I don't want to miss anything. We could spend hours, I bet.
Well, I think the only thing that I want to add is I want to say thank you to you, George, because you have gone out to be such an advocate for this. And when you talk about awareness, you're doing more than anybody else could ever do by talking to people and by really showcasing what it's about, what it was about for your mom, what it's about for the people that you're meeting with that have Parkinson's, and those that you want to get to know that are advocates like you. So, what you're doing is a real service to the community. So, I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate our newfound friendship.
I appreciate it, but again, I feel like we're all family in this fight, and I say it a lot, so it might not be a broken record, but unfortunately there are nights my wife will say I am up all night trying to think of ways that we could, do more. And it's something that I think when we are all together, our voices are so much more powerful. And that's like my new quote really is, I might be just one person, one son, and one individual who lost their mother, a loved one due to Parkinson's, but when we all team up, we really could reach the world. And I've actually been able to, we have some podcasts in the future scheduled with people in France and Italy, and thankfully we have
fantastic.
I don't call people because I always think the bill is going to be too much. but now with Zoom we could do it, so it's amazing. But I don't know if Greta had any final questions.
Wrapped it up in a bow when she talked about 2024 and all the cool plans and cool trips that she's going to be taking. I'll be watching out for those.
Well, you're going to start joining us.
Oh yeah, we'll be flying.
That would be so fun.
We'll be sharing. Well, I just
Absolutely,
want to thank Greta, of course, and also most importantly our guest today, Deb, from one of my favorite organizations out there. Please support Drive Toward a Cure. I mean, you're going to see them if you're on social media, and just look for the movie like fascinating advertising. But again, it's been an honor to not just to speak today, but to get to know you. And we're always going to be there. And I always leave every well, it's only been the first one, but I want to leave every podcast we have with the one thing that there are individuals like Deb, Crowther, and myself who really are out there, and we love all of you. We want to support you, and you're never alone, because I really did feel alone when I was going through it. If I had
It's
an
a tough
outlet,
thing.
like, yeah, if I had an outlet or knew you then, because I did learn about you right after, but I mean, I've been following you for 3 years now. It feels like it's just yesterday, but it's sad because it's getting to be, longer. My mother's birthday would have been September 28th, so it's always
Oh,
yeah, it's a tough day. We go visit her, but
yep.
that makes me want to stay up more. I'm probably gonna have getting some sleep apnea, but
Yeah.
I might. We all have, like you said, we all work and we have careers and family, but I really do put this awareness above everything, and I hope that all our kids, when they grow up, can also continue it on, because it would be a shame to. I mean, obviously, I hope we have a cure so we don't have to do this anymore.
That's
But
true.
if not, then I hope we always will always be there for one another, and also for everyone listening. So I just want to thank Deb again, Gruther, and all of
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you,
And
Deb.
hopefully, this is just the first in a long journey and drive toward a cure, and for us with podcasts. So again, really want to thank everyone, and we again send our love and support. And have a great week. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good week,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Bye-bye.